Hello and welcome to Fun Friday. I have a very tight episode here to discuss a very important topic, which is working with Lone Star Capital if you are to onboard with us to do a deal with us. And specifically, since we've got our friends with TriVest here talking about what it would look like if you created a fund to fund with our partner there. So we're super excited to have this show. But first off, thank you so much to Brandon Claisse with TriVest for joining us, as well as Dasha Beardsley, our incredible Director of Investor Relations. How are you both today?
I'm great. Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys. And good to see you both, as always.
Amazing. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, first off, congratulations to Dasha, who just completed her book on the 1031 exchange process. Super awesome there. So congratulations on that. We're going to have another episode with her discussing that book, of course, and promoting that. But hats off to you, of course, for doing that. But as I mentioned, this episode is really mostly for fund of fund capital allocators, people who are looking to raise money for some deals. So if you're a passive investor or retail investor, this episode might not be for you. I apologize. But for those who are looking to maybe create a fund of fund to work with Lone Star Capital, naturally, we are partnered with our friends at Tribevest. But outside of just working with them, I just want to bring this super high level in a tight episode here to kind of let you know what the process is like from the perspective of when we send you a deal, what is it like to work with us? So with that said, assume that you got an email from me saying we've got a great new deal that we're working on and we send you that opportunity. Imagine if you are ready to say yes. What I'm going to likely do then is potentially kick you over to these two people here. So number one, Dasha, let's start with you. You get a deal. I put you in the email. You say yes to us. Where does that conversation start?
Yeah, so the first step would be to schedule an onboarding call with me. And on this onboarding call, I can answer any questions that you may have about the fund process as far as opening the fund and the administration aspect of it. But also we'll be focusing on the size of your raise, how to actually go about your raise, and I can help with any sort of your marketing questions, things of that nature. We'll also talk about what materials you need in order to be successful on your raise. So, for example, we have an editable version of our investment presentation, which you would be editing as a fund manager to be accurate for your fund. So, wherever it says Lone Star Capital, it would be your fund instead. We also have property photos. A lot of the times we have drone footage. So really we have like a full suite of marketing materials to hand over to you, and very templated, but also we can be flexible and kind of help you out in the way that you need. From that onboarding call, we'll be handing you over to Tribevest, which they'll be handling all of the real admin aspects of creating your fund and the raise. So I think Brandon can cover that a little better
Yeah.
than me.
Well, before we switch over to the TriVest part of things, what are some of the services that people kind of get from other, individuals there, Dasha, that work with, Lone Star? What do they get from other sponsors? What do they get from us? Can you talk about maybe that right there and some frequently asked questions?
You mean services like during the raise,
Yeah.
or
Like
are you
what?
talking?
Yeah. I guess just what does Lone Star offer for services during the raise?
Yeah, I would say more than anything, being accessible and being in good contact. So, we're always just a phone call away. So if you have any questions or have any updates as far as the raise, we're very accessible and available. As far as actual services, like I said, we have full suite of marketing materials. We also have the ability to hand over our templated emails as well, so you can repurpose those for your investors, and how they are applicable to your fund. um, I don't know, is there anything that I'm missing?
No, I mean, another thing that kind of comes to my perspective is, time to time people ask me to do webinars with them for their investors. And that is something that, we're happy to do to accommodate. We do request that we book that time in a nice point of the cycle preemptively, not, kind of halfway through it. The reason why, that's kind of asked is because naturally when there is a raise, there's a lot of hand holding, investor questions, investors that need to service there. So carving out that hour of time gets very valuable there. So that's kind of the one thing that we ask for there. Awesome. So
Good
then
point.
now that Dasha has passed off, kind of her side, you kind of do a Zoom conversation with her, iron out some key details as mentioned. Then we ideally will pass it over to our friends at TriVest. You are not forced or required to work with TriVest, but we have kind of carved out a great opportunity to, in fact, partner with them, with people that have very good reviews with the service and product. So with that said, Brandon, if you maybe want to share your screen, we can kind of go to the next part of the presentation here.
Yeah, thank you, Craig. Thanks, Dasha. Yeah, let me share my screen. And there we go. All right. Is everyone able to see that?
Yes, it looks great.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So thank you guys. I really appreciate you having me. Super excited. Craig had asked that, hey, we've been working together for over a year now. And I think we've done, half a dozen plus deals, worked with maybe a dozen fund managers, raised quite a bit of money. And, we want to continue as partners to iterate, improve on this process, and continue to make things more and more streamlined, more and more efficient for you, the fund manager. And, one thing Craig asked as, can we really break this down, step by step? What does this look like? So that's what we're going to do today. And also, we're going to have this presentation in a PDF form to share with you after, and some other materials as well. So you're going to leave really, I think, educated on what this process looks like, and you'll have some materials to review at the end. So TriVest, as just at a high level, we've created what we call our SPV fund to funds in a box. And the idea here was two-part. One, we wanted to allow our lead sponsor partners like Lone Star to work with as many fund-to-fund managers as they needed to scale their capital raising efforts in the most efficient way possible. And then also for you fund managers, we wanted you to be able to focus on finding great deals and nurturing, building your investor network, and not focused on all this back office stuff that comes with being a fund manager, right? We're going to take that stuff off your plate and make this seamless for you so that you can focus on the most important elements. So just at a high level, just to start in terms of pricing, a big part of making this scalable is we needed to make it as affordable as possible as well, right? So a low price point to start, $5,000 for entity, bank account, offering documents, even your Blue Sky filings. All of that service is included in this $5,000 setup fee. And then $2,000 to start with for 10 investors up, and it scales up from there. And that includes your K1s and your accounting services. So for about what you would charge an accountant to do your K1s, you get all of the TriVest services, and really everything is included here. So the idea here, again, just like we want you focused on specific things and not on all these back office services, you also don't have to worry about any cost popping up along the way, right? This might be a 3-5 year deal. You don't have to worry about unforeseen costs popping up along the way because of the pricing we've done here for you.
Yeah, and I think it's a really cool thing about TriVest, just to interject here. You're doing it on a one-off basis, so you're not if you're not, I guess, super blown away or just want to experience this, you're not getting married to this. You're just kind of dating the process here. The goal would be for, of course, if you're working with us, that TriVest will be the lead opportunity there to create a fund to fund, because we are so nicely integrated together.
For sure. And then the affordability allows you to stack deals as well, right? So you could stack 3-4. We have fund managers that have now stacked 3-4, as many as 10 deals in a year, and are still making tremendous amounts of compensation on that.
Yeah,
so good opportunity to stack.
Yeah, and another comment to make here, typically speaking, when we do work with people, whether it be kind of stacking a couple of fund managers together for the opportunity, which is now becoming more common as people are going, maybe they're newer to the raising process, but to kind of get to that $500,000 number, some people do, put 3 or 4 fund managers together. Often it's just one individual, and we usually say that $500,000 is the number to hit. But at $500,000, your investors would be paying out of that there to this fund level opportunity to create this SPV, this fund of fund. So it's charged at the fund manager level. So we kind of think that the minimum to be raising for an opportunity of ours is about that 500K threshold. Dasha, do you have any other commentary there as well about maybe stacking a couple fund managers?
No, I don't.
Okay. Brandon,
Yeah.
have you seen that becoming more common?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think there's, a balance there, right? So I think the threshold is $500,000. And I think, again, from a compensation perspective, you want to keep that, a single fund manager, ideally, if partners want to come together and raise $1 million or $2 million, that's fine. We can add a third and fourth, again, but you just have to keep in mind, you're going into business together, right? So it's not something to be, treated lightly. You're going into business. This is a partnership you're creating for 3 to 5 years with someone. So it is, there's still a business aspect to it, but you can partner if that is what helps you get to the goal.
Yeah. In addition to that, just if you're a listener, you can't see this, but we'll go through the costs there on the ongoing admin fees there. But maybe you want to mention that now, Brandon, just with the costs associated. You have the $5,000 startup, and then as the number of investors into a deal, that cost will vary on the ongoing admin fees.
Yeah, so we do scale by number of investors. So based on the number of investors you bring in, it does scale up as an annual fee here. 2,000 to 2,500, as you can see laid out here.
Perfect.
So we've laid this out. So like I said, Craig had come to us and said, hey, we really want to lay this out on a step-by-step basis. And so we put together this quick fund-to-fund roadmap that snapshots everything here. And we're going to be stepping into each of these pieces and talking about them in detail. But this is a really good snapshot. And everything really starts with us at the deal level. So once a deal has been identified and Lone Star, has a deal, they're talking to fund managers. And I think a really important part for fund managers to understand is that this isn't all, we have a partnership with Lone Star. We are figuring this stuff out ahead of time. So Lone Star is providing us with their offering documents, for example. They're providing us with their funding deadlines and webinar deadlines and all the information that we need upstream so that you as the fund manager can be successful downstream. That's a huge part of this. It's a huge why we have this strategy of partnering at the Lone Star or lead sponsor level, is to make it easier for you. So I want to point that out. So Lone Star comes to us and they provide us with all this information up front. So when you come along, we're ready to go and we're ready to make you successful. So as both Dasha and Craig mentioned, right? So have their new deal and they're talking to you about the opportunity. And again, back to the partnership, they've created marketing materials. They have a fund-to-fund specific program guide that they've created for you for their deal. They've also created a fund-to-fund economics calculator that spells out the opportunity in more detail. And this is really important. So right up front, you're really understanding that, one, this is a lead sponsor partner that works with lots of fund managers. They understand how to do this. They have a partner in TriVest that's going to help to streamline things. And they've helped me answer all of the big questions up front. So a lot of the questions are usually around some of the fund-to-fund economics. What type of preferred term am I going to receive if I raise $1 million or more, or $500,000 or more? And then equally important, what am I going to do when I have my fund-to-fund? What terms am I going to offer my investors? What fees can I charge? And based on the underwriting or the projections of the deal, what type of compensation can I expect? And this is something that we work with Lone Star ahead of time. They've figured this out for you. So when you come along, they can answer these questions and exactly what your opportunity looks like and can make a really informed decision. Again, which is super important when it comes to why it's great to work with Lone Star and the partnership with TriVest. So as Dasha mentioned, right? So now you said, great, I love the Lone Star team. I love this new deal. I love the economics they've presented. Dasha's helped me better understand what the next steps are. And so now you're handed off to TriVest. So as a part of that handoff process, one of the first things we're going to ask you to do is to complete a fund manager worksheet. And you can see an example of that here. And really what this is, as you can imagine, right? We're going to create an entity. We're going to file an LLC for you. We're going to open a business bank account on our platform for you. And we're also going to create your offering docs. So there's some information we need. And this is all that basic information here. So your personal information, a little bit more about the deal. So again, back to those fund-to-fund economics. Lone Star has already helped you understand. Here's an example of what your fund-to-fund could look like. You don't have to follow it. You're at your discretion. You can tweak those numbers, but they help you, provide a blueprint here so that you can easily fill this in and again, help to streamline the process. And then one question and something for you all to be thinking about is usually a fund manager is going to want to come in and protect themselves with their own existing management LLC. So if this is something you're thinking about doing, might be one thing you want to get ahead of is to have a management LLC in place, XYZ Capital, for your fundraising efforts or for your real estate endeavors. So now we've got your completed worksheet. You're working with an account manager at this point on the TriVest team. And we're also going to have you sign what we call our green light docs, right? So this is a service agreement. This is you saying, hey, we'd like you to do this work for us. We're also going to have you sign a limited power of attorney, an NDA, and a bad actors questionnaire. Once those are signed, and once we have the completed worksheet, we create your fund-to-fund in less than 7 business days. So in about 5 to 7 business days, your entity, bank account, and offering docs are all going to be ready to go. So this is super important. I mean, this is for those of you that have been through this process, that's mind-blowing. If you haven't been through this process and you have to go out to Chase Bank and go out to an attorney, I mean, this could be a 2, 3, 4 week process, right? So again, really shrinking this timeline so it works within the urgency of the deal, which is really nice, especially in a syndication, right? Where there is a very tight open and close. Everyone's working against that urgency of the deadline. We're allowing you to come in, make a decision, tap your investor network, and get everything squared away really, really quickly. So now your entity's formed, bank accounts open, your offering docs are ready to go. And we're going to send those out to you for your approval. So just a quick review and approval. If you'd like, you can have your own attorney review those as well. That's an option. So now your fund-to-fund offering docs are ready to go. The bank account's open and you have an account manager assigned. In parallel, you've been out getting soft commitments. So as Dasha mentioned, she will provide you with sales and marketing material so you can go out and pitch your investor network. The account manager from TriVest is also going to provide you with a soft commitment form so you can gather soft commitments on your side from your investors. And now in parallel, we've created your fund-to-fund structure. So all of the soft commitments are here in our project management software. And you can tell your account manager, hey, I'm ready to go. Please send out my offering docs for signature along with wiring instructions. So your account manager is going to send out the offering docs to be signed electronically. And they're also going to send out wiring instructions so all the capital can be aggregated back in your newly opened business bank account. So they're a part of your team. They are not here to close your investors, but they are assisting alongside and helping you to get those signatures and get the capital wired in. So now all the capital has been aggregated, and you are going to, along with TriVest, we're going to send a wire onto the Lone Star team, and now your target deal has been funded, right? So now your entity, the fund to fund, is coming into Lone Star's deal as an LP. You are an LP on their cap table, and as such, you're going to come in and just you, so your investors are separated, but just you as the fund manager will come in and you'll sign a subscription agreement. And at that point, you're also going to want to link your newly opened business bank account to Lone Star's investor portal to receive distributions on an ongoing basis. So again, depending on the timelines, once the deal's funded, so on our side, TriVest is going to set up a dashboard for you. All your investors, it's deal specific. So all your investors are going to be onboarded to a deal specific dashboard where they can come and connect their business bank accounts or their bank account to receive their distribution. And then depending on the timeline, whether it's monthly or quarterly, depending on the schedule of the deal, you will be receiving distributions back. Once those distributions hit your TriVest account in 3 to 5 business days, they will be pushed out to your individual investors. So that's an ongoing service for the life of the deal. Taxes, probably the biggest, most important, and most expensive service that's included with the TriVest offering is your ongoing taxes, the filings, and most importantly, the breaking up of the K1. So, like I said, you are an LP on Lone Star's cap table. You're going to be receiving a single K1, your entity. You're going to be receiving that. We'll have some things you'll need to do to connect with our accounting team. But ultimately, that accounting team is going to be breaking up that that K1 on your behalf and sending it out to your individual investors. So again, a huge service and cost there that's included for the life of the deal. Investor updates. So investor updates, this is one thing that is on the plate of the fund manager, but super important. Now, most of the time, it depends, this is on a deal by deal basis. So most of the time or some of the time, you can take a Lone Star quarterly update, whatever those come back, and send that out to your investors. So that can be sent out directly from Lone Star. And depending on kind of where you're at with your business, there's 3 options. You can send the Lone Star update out as is. You can rebrand the Lone Star update with your own, XYZ capital branding. Or you may also want to tweak a couple of slides if there's investor return related slides. You may want to tweak those based on your own investor returns, so it's specific to your investors. So not a lot of work here, but just something that is something you'll need to account for once, a couple times a year.
We actually send communications monthly, so this would be a monthly responsibility if they do choose to communicate with their investors monthly in the same cadence.
Sounds good. So like I said, we're with you all the way through dissolution, right? So whether this is 3-5 years, once the deal is done and completed, we'll ensure that all final payouts have been made to investors, and then we will dissolve the LLC, terminate the EIN, close everything up, provide it in a nice digital file for you so that you can tuck that away and move on to your next deal. So any questions from you guys? I have a couple other things I wanted to share, but they're pretty quick. So if there's any things from you guys, any questions, happy to answer those if anything popped up along the way.
Yeah, so I guess a question for you would be, how long does this all take to get going? Because obviously speed's super important. Speed's very critical. Is this a 3-week long process to open up bank accounts? Is this very quick? Could you just touch on that, please?
Yeah, for sure. Let me see if I can. I'm going to go back to a slide, but it's basically 5 to 7 business days. So once they've committed to raise for you, there's the handoff to us, and we'll have a call, and then we're going to ask them to fill out that fund manager worksheet and then sign their green light docs. Those are the two cues for us, and that's when the clock starts. So once those two things are completed by the fund manager, in 5 to 7 business days, the entity, bank account, and offering docs will be ready for investors to come in and sign and wire their funds.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, Dasha, do you have any other questions for Brandon? Or Brandon, did you have any other more points to kind of mention?
Yeah, I was just going to say that, hey, we're going to share this with you. A couple things that I think are going to be really important. We're going to share this presentation with you. As a fund manager, I think it's going to be super valuable in being able to take this and go through it at your own pace. This is a little bit of a snapshot. So we just talked about the 7 business days. And then here's all of the steps that I just walked through in a single slide. And then finally, here's something that you guys can, here's a QR code. This is our Fund to Fund Accelerator course. This is a 6-module, 8-hour education course. Everything you wanted to know about fund of funds, being a fund manager, working with lead sponsors and deals. This has been hosted and created by our Chief Legal Officer, Seth Bradley, a veteran securities attorney, real estate attorney, and real expert in the space, syndicator and capital raiser himself. So super valuable content. You can use this QR code here or use this link here to access that content. And that's a really good, if you're someone that, hey, I still need to kind of get a little bit more 101 before I jump in. This is super high value content that I think you're going to love.
Awesome. Dasha, a question for you. Do we take IRA, self-directed IRA dollars, funds, things of that nature?
Yes, we do.
Brandon, if you are a fund manager and you have kind of clients who are raising, can they in fact create a fund to fund and create or accept IRA dollars also?
They can. I'd say they absolutely can. I'd say the only thing, again, especially in a syndication where timelines are tight, it's something they're going to want to get ahead of. Especially if you think a lot of your investors are going to be coming in as self-directed IRAs. But regardless, you're going to want to let them know that, hey, they should be reaching out to their custodian and getting ahead of things and letting them know that, hey, I'm doing this. 1, is this okay? 2, can you let me know anything I need to know ahead of time? Just because, again, there's often a lot of urgency when it comes to funding, as you guys well know.
Excellent. Yes. Those dollars do take a little bit of time to transfer over. So make sure if you're a fund manager, you're on the front end of that. So that's awesome there. Thank you so much both for coming on here. Dasha, where can people find you if they want to reach out and learn more about our process and 1031 exchanging with Lone Star Capital?
You can find my new book, Maximizing Wealth Through Syndicated 1031 Exchanges, at maximizing1031.com. And then you can always reach us at ir@lscre.com, which reaches both Craig and myself and the rest of our IR team. So that's a good place to reach out to. And also just to tie out the sort of entire fund-to-fund process, I just wanted to add that once you're finalizing your raise, then you will be signing a subscription agreement with us at Lone Star in our portal, as well as filling out a W-9 with all of your fund information. So just to clarify, because this is something that does trip some fund managers up, is that they'll fill out the information for themselves as an individual, like as a fund manager, but the correct thing to do would be to put in the actual funds information specific to that raise, as well as its EIN number and things like that. And then also at that point, you'll be able to upload your distribution payment information. So that would be your fund's bank account that you have with Tribevest. That way we can send the distributions to the correct bank account. But very simple process. Just wanted to include those notes on kind of how we tie out the raise at the end.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Brandon, where can people find you and the TriVest team?
Yeah, you can reach me at Brandon at Tribevest.com, Branden at Tribevest.com. And yeah, no, excited to, for the Lone Star's next deal and to work with all you fund managers out there. Again, I think this is super valuable content. The accelerator, if it's something that's new to you, I think is a great starting point. So please check that out.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And if you think someone else, the listener here, if you think someone should be consuming this information, if you think this might be valuable for them, please be sure to send that to that individual and help them out and help us out, of course. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Fun Friday, and we'll see you next week.